Good morning. It's To Be Real Tuesday, Facebook time with Dr. Kate Dow. Nice to see you. Good morning. And I'm here to focus today on anxiety, and specifically we're going to look at anxiety around just being on social media. What happens when we get overly caught up in social media, and how does that affect our anxiety? How do we take care of ourselves in relationship to what happens when we're on social media? Because a lot of us have the same things. We think we're so unique, but we're really not. Like, when we get on social media, one of the things we all tend to do is we want to compare ourselves, right? Anxiety around comparing ourselves is a big deal because we get outside of ourselves. We start worrying about what other people are thinking. We start thinking about, like, oh, did I get a share or a like on my post? Does that mean I'm good enough or not? And all of that stuff really can affect our anxiety and our sense of ourself, right? It affects how we show up for ourselves. So we're going to talk a little more about how that happens, because it's a natural process, right? We have this part of us, our ego mind, and our ego mind wants to survive. And one of the ways that it does that is it's always looking for the potential problems, right? And when we get on social media, this is like a vulnerability we never used to have, right? We could get on the phone, and in the olden days, it didn't matter what we looked like. We were on the phone, we could kind of hide out. We weren't suddenly like, here, let me bear it all, and you can see me at my best and my worst. And this is where it can get really difficult, because it's up to us to figure out how we do that in a way that works for us. But let's keep talking about how it shows up. And please add in if you have any awareness of how anxiety has gotten triggered for you being on social media. I know for me, when I first started trying to do Facebook, I was totally in that thing of like, oh God, nobody liked my post. Like, I'm not doing it right. I didn't even understand how to really work Facebook, and I still don't, because they're always changing it. And so I'm always feeling slightly inept at it. And that creates a level of anxiety. And then there's the anxiety of just like seeing people post things that maybe are ways that we want to be living, right? They're there with their partner, they're in this beautiful place, they're talking about this beautiful time they're having, and we might be going through some really hard times, and we're just like, what is going on? How is that fair, right? So anxiety can come up around comparing ourselves to what people are presenting on Facebook or on Instagram or on Snapchat, or all the different ways that it can show up. And how we use it to hurt ourselves is a really important thing to be paying attention to, because that part of our mind is always going to be wanting to say, well, they're doing really well with this, Kate, so what does that mean about you? Or, oh, look how great that person looks. They look so happy, and you're not having such a great day. What does that mean about you? So these are the ways that our mind, our thinking mind, can make us kind of a ball of anxiety. And learning that, knowing that, is really important, so that we get to start to have some awareness about what we need. Okay, so Christy's sharing, I've actually started sharing my experiences with anxiety on Facebook, and it's opened me to so many people who struggle too. Yeah, it's really important. And I'm really reaching out because this is work I've done with people for 30 years, and as well as my own personal work, working on anxiety. And I have a book coming out soon that I'm super excited about, and it's specific. We're working with women right now, but it's helping us as women really step into knowing what we can do to show up, love, care for ourselves, take care of knowing what our thoughts are that running us, knowing, how we show up in our bodies and how we take care of ourselves each day will affect how anxious we are. So that program is already in place and happening, and I'm super excited about it. But today I wanted to just keep focusing on social media anxiety, because it's pretty rampant. I don't think it's there's even a possibility that people don't have any anxiety coming onto social media. There's something really valuable around knowing that we're not alone in our normal human experiences when we get on social media and our brain starts to compare us. And one of the worst ways it does that is we compare our insides to other people's outsides. You probably heard of this. So when other people look like they have their world all together, their life is going so awesome, and we're having a hard moment, and we're like, oh my God, what is wrong with me? This is all about me, that I must just not get it. When the truth is, most of us have been raised to try and look like we have it all together, right? That's our sort of cultural expectation, is look like you know what you're doing, act like you have it all together. And so that's what we do. We just naturally want to try and look like it's like a thought that that's going to protect us, right? If I act like I know what I'm doing, then I'm safer. And actually in our culture, that's kind of true, because there's a lot of that comparing and competition that happens in our culture. So how we come back and be kind to ourselves and say, oh my God, I'm comparing my insides to other people's outsides. I have no idea what's going on with them. They may be having panic attacks 5 times a day. I don't know. So we don't want to hurt ourselves with that. We want to get on social media, get on Facebook or Instagram, and really be conscious about how we take care of ourselves and not go into those comparing stories. Because for me, I've noticed that that is probably one of the things that most people feel on social media, that anxiety about, is where we feel like we don't belong somehow. We don't have it together like everybody else. Everybody else has it together except us. And so it's really helpful for us to know that going in. Like, hey, I'm going to go on my Facebook now, and I need to keep an eye on that part of me that wants to use things against myself, right? We want to stop that. We want to be really conscious and caring and say, I get to go on Facebook, but if I start comparing, I'm going to get myself off of it, right? We want to be kind to ourselves and really see if I can do that. And if I notice that I'm comparing myself on social media and I'm getting caught in judging myself, or even if I'm judging others, because that's sort of the same deal, right? Is we can get caught in wanting to kind of judge other people. That internal judge we have is either going to judge us, we're not doing good enough, or it's looking for proof that we're better than other people. That we're always having to figure out, where do I stand? And that's our ego mind that really, it doesn't really serve us so much. So in my program that I work with people, I'm really helping people identify this other part of our mind, which is our awareness. That part of us that can become aware of that ego mind. And when it's running the show, when it's starting to get us into judging ourselves or others, and how much that doesn't serve us. And it certainly doesn't help our connection with other people, right? When we get together with people on Facebook or even in person and we're comparing who's better, who's got the this, who's got the that, right? And we have to become conscious of that, because it's actually pretty toxic for us, especially for anxiety, but also for our sense of self, right? Our self-esteem, so that we get to feel better than, because we're putting other people down. Now, as women, this is something we're taught pretty young, right? It's sort of the patriarchal competition story. Like, for you to get your man, you better be better than those other women. And it's created a real split in what can be this beautiful sisterhood as women, where we can support and love each other. We become comparing. People who just are always trying to feel like, do we have a leg up or are we less than? And I see that this is a big deal for anxiety on social media. So that's what we're talking about today, is how do we go against ourselves when we're on social media, and how do we keep an eye on that? How do we become more aware so that we stop doing that? that we figure out how to be more neutral and centered and caring in ourselves, so that when I show up on, say, for example, say when I'm going to go on social media, I make sure I'm in a good place. I'm not going to go on there when I'm feeling bad about myself. That would be a setup, right? For my anxiety to just be like, I'm right here, Kate, and I'm going to take you down, or if I'm feeling just insecure about other things going on in my life. I'm going through changes, right? When we're going through changes, we're going to feel a little insecure. Going on Facebook or Instagram when we're feeling a little, insecure in that transition, not so helpful, because most likely our ego mind is going to jump right in there. It's going to start comparing, and it's going to get us into trouble. Then we're not going to be able to hold on to, hey, I'm going through this really amazing transition, and it's hard and it's scary, but I don't need to go now see, well, am I doing better than this person or less than this person? That's not going to support me. So how we become more aware is just talking about it. That's why I'm calling this To Be Real Tuesdays. I want us to keep talking about the crazy things that our mind can do, especially our small mind, right? Our little ego mind that's just lives from a place of survival and feeling safe, and it will do that at any cost, and it will often get us caught in that comparing, so that we're not somehow feeling as vulnerable. But the truth is, we just are. Life is vulnerable. Showing up on social media is incredibly vulnerable. But if we do that with awareness, we have a chance to do it with, like our own internal limits. Like, I'm going to keep an eye on that part of me that can get judgmental of others or myself on social media. And I'm going to catch that. I'm going to catch that. And if I can't stop it, I'm going to get off Facebook, right? Or I'm going to, I'm going to step back from it for maybe a couple hours and really know that I can only go on Facebook when I'm feeling more centered and connected in myself, right? So what are the things that some of you guys do that helps you be able to take care of yourself when you're on social media? Does anybody have anything that you do? Okay, Christy's sharing that some people she knows take a break, and I agree. But I think even the break becomes an all or nothing. Like, do you ever notice? I mean, I'm kind of like that. It's like more is always better. So like you get on Facebook or Pinterest and then you just like overdose. You just do it for way too long. And then you're like, that's it, no more. And then you step away for days and days. And maybe that works for you. For me, I find I want to stay in touch, but I don't want to overdose on social media. And I definitely don't want to do it if my mind is taking me into places that are hurting me, that are comparing me, that are making me feel less than about myself. Like, that's the way that I'm going to really take better care of myself. So how you do that might be, I take a break for a week and then I go on social media. Or maybe I set a timer and I only go on social media for like 10 minutes and that's it. Because you know how addictive it is, right? It's like getting on the internet, getting on Pinterest, getting on any of those things. We can get on it and never like, oh my God, an hour went by. And that's not probably serving us the best. So again, we're coming back to what creates anxiety, and being on social media or on the screen even for that much time can really add to our anxiety. But mostly we're talking today about how our small ego mind loves to get in an unhealthy place when we're on social media. So we want to pay attention to that. We want to keep checking in with, am I being kind to myself or am I getting into comparing? That's the main thing we're talking about today. Because comparing is an aspect of protection, survival of the ego, but it's always going to take us into an unhealthy place. It just does. As soon as we're comparing, we're either taking ourselves down or we're taking other people down. And that's, in essence, the same thing, right? If I'm judging other people, I'm judging myself. And that's we know when we judge ourselves, that's going against ourselves. And the Toltec work that I studied for many years that I bring in my book, we don't want to go against ourselves. We have to honor and take care of us. So we never want to really go against ourselves, which includes not going against other people, the best that we can. And comparing is one way that absolutely will always take us down that wrong path. So my invitation to you is to notice when comparing is showing up for you when you're on social media, when you're getting into judging yourself or others, and what you can do to take notice, right? Take stock of that and see how you can step back. And if it means getting off the Facebook or whatever you're on for a little bit, do that. Do it from love, though. Don't do it from fear or from angst or like I've been on it for 2 hours and now I'm just completely overdosed. Try and be more aware so that you're doing it more consciously each time you go on Facebook. Be more conscious so that you're paying attention to, am I using other people's information about their lives in an inspiring way or in a harmful, hurtful way? Okay, that's the main idea about this. Because when we're doing anything that we're unconscious about that is hurting us from that place of judgment, that's going to add to our anxiety. You might notice, like at the moment, you think you're fine, but then you get off the Facebook and you go to work or you go finish doing whatever you were doing, and suddenly you start getting a little increased heart rate. You start feeling a little like maybe those negative voices are starting. The negative, inner critic has now started saying, yeah, remember, see, that lady was doing that. And you're not doing that. What's wrong with you? And it sneaks up on us. It really does. It sneaks up on us. So we want to stay alert, out of love and consciousness, right? That's the main thing. Let's use social media in a loving way, not in a harmful way. That's the message today. Does anybody else have anything you want to share about how you keep an eye on comparing when you're on social media? Or any way that you catch that negative way of judging yourself or others in relationship to other people, right? Anybody have anything you want to share about that? It's great to have you guys all here. It's awesome. It's really, really lovely. I'm super excited. In closing, I'm just going to say my book is in the final edit, getting ready for publication. It will be coming out in December. I'll be letting you guys know about all that because we're going to have some great offers. And my program that goes with the book about helping women with anxiety. This is all about being of service for me and helping women learn how to be the queen of our mind, the heroines of our bodies, and the goddess of our spirit. That it's how we strengthen our awareness and our ability to be in charge of how we show up in ourselves, in our lives, in a way that really serves us so that we get to be who we came here to be. Okay, that's what my program's about. And if you're interested, you can go to my website. It's a brief little website. And I have this great offer of this whole person anxiety survey. If you're interested, it's free and you can go and fill it out. And it gives you kind of a sense of looking at all the different aspects, mind, body, spirit, of how that can affect us with our anxiety. And then I will shoot you an email about the results. And if you're interested, you can apply for a strategy session with me for free as well on my website, katedow.com. So it was a pleasure to have you all here this morning. Be mindful when you're on social media. Be loving. Be kind to yourself. And have a fabulous day. Please feel free to join me here at To Be Real Tuesdays every Tuesday, 9:30. Blessings, everyone.